Hello everyone and welcome to the ultimate guide for winning every round of Ink game. Whether you die in hide and seek or just can't win against that last player, this video is for you. So you've joined the Ink games. You and 50 other players are now going to compete in red light, green light, the first of 8 games to see who gets to bring home all that cash. Spoiler alert, it's going to be you as long as you follow this guide. Red light, green light by itself is very easy. Go when it says green light and literally take your hand off the keyboard when it says red light. The real game comes down to how you interact with the other players. This game is easily the best when it comes down to making both alliances and enemies due to the fact that you can both help and sabotage other players. As tempting as it may seem, if you're actually in this to win, I highly suggest do not push anyone. You're very unlikely to actually kill them. All you're going to do is create yourself enemies, which will make it harder for you to win later on. Instead, if you have some time, go back and actually help some of the players that are struggling. Even if it might seem like they're going to make it either way, by helping them you can gain their trust, which is crucial for winning some of the later rounds. Next up is Dalgona, in my opinion the easiest of the 8 games. Unlike season 1 of actual Squid Game, you can end up with some pretty unique looking shapes, but aside from one, they're all relatively easy. You get way more than enough time to finish each cookie successfully, so my only real advice would be don't rush. I also demonstrated here how far your mouse can get from the line before it actually starts to crack the cookie, and you can see you actually have quite a bit of leeway. This round shouldn't be too hard for most people to win, but do make sure you're being precise. Don't get careless. The only times I really end up cracking my shape are when I try and rush, and like I said, you've got ages to do this. Just take it slow. We're now on to Lights Out, which is literally just a free-for-all fight to the death. The difficulty of this highly depends on how you treated other players getting up to this point. If you're someone who made a lot of enemies, you might struggle here. You can choose between 2 weapons, a fork or a bottle. I would always suggest picking the fork if you're going to actually try and fight, but for this example here, I picked the bottle and I literally didn't use it once, just to prove to you guys that you can win without fighting. I'd recommend going to the top floor of the beds, and whenever someone comes near you, literally just jump away. You can see I'm using the dash to my advantage here, but you can also see that without dash, it basically has the same effect. If anyone comes for you, literally just jump out of the way and you should be all good. The only time you might be in danger is if someone decides to target you and just goes for you the whole time, but otherwise they'll get bored of you after a while, they'll go for someone else. As long as you jump away from them a few times, you're basically telling them, yeah, you're not just here to get killed, you know? Another strat is just hiding in one of the stalls of the bathroom. People are quite unlikely to actually check each stall, but there is also the chance that you'll get caught, and if you do, you're at a major disadvantage being trapped in a stall. So congratulations, you survived Lights Out. It's now time to vote whether you'd like to play hide and seek or tug of war. Which one you vote for completely comes down to what you think you're better at, but one thing to keep in mind when voting is that you are statistically more likely to pass tug of war since half the players are guaranteed to win, whereas in hide and seek you could technically have an unlimited amount of players get eliminated. The biggest complaint everyone has about tug of war is that it's completely team based, and if you get a bad team then you're basically screwed, and although I do agree with that, I'm going to show you a clip here from when I did get an absolutely horrendous team yet I still managed to battle through. You're basically playing Dead by Daylight here. Click every time the pointer gets into the right section and it will slowly speed up, making it harder and harder to click. The only real advice I can give here is if you're not sure you're going to get it, let the pointer go all the way back round and then click. I know you might lose a bit of time by letting it go round, but you'll still save a lot more time than if you try it and fail to click at the right point. This last bit might sound obvious, but just don't give up. You can see here I got down to 7%. A lot of people will get below 20% and basically just be like, okay, I'm screwed. But you can see, if you keep powering through, you can gain back the strength, and we eventually ended with above 50% and actually ended up winning this game, despite going down to 7% at one point. But none of that really seems to matter very much, because 9 matches out of 10 you end up with hide and seeks. The real question is, are you going to be a hider or a seeker? Personally, I think hider is a lot easier, because once you know the map, you kind of get to know all the exits and hiding spaces. Before I get my team, I always end up writing follow me to exit in the chat, and then if I end up with blue, I type it, and if I end up with red, I just get rid of it. That way, if I do end up with blue, I can very quickly get everyone to just follow me to the exit, which I have memorized how to get to. The best place to go for both hiders and seekers is downstairs, because that's where most of the exits are. So if you're a hider, it's good to go there to try and escape, and if you're a seeker, I'd recommend going down there because a lot of the hiders go there to try and escape. If you're a hider, I'd recommend only looking for an exit if you've got other people with you. Otherwise, you're going to need all 3 keys, and it's basically just a waste of time. The main advice I'd give to the hiders is hide. I know that sounds stupid, but most of the hiders in this game seem to just run around. That's gonna get you killed quite easily. So if you're a hider, just find a nice spot, and unless someone finds you, do not move. But if someone does find you, don't give up. you can run away. Unless they have a power, you can run at the exact same speed as they can. And if they hit you, you actually get a speed boost and you can run faster than the Seekers. So if someone finds you, just run away. As long as you're smart and you go around the right corners, you should get away pretty easily. If you're a Seeker, the hardest bit of this will actually be finding one of the hiders, hence the name hide and seek. It's really difficult, especially since there are so few hiders a lot of the time. It'll be really difficult to actually find anyone, let alone kill them. So once you find someone, don't let them out of your sight. Don't move on to anyone else unless they die or someone else just comes running past you. Once you kill just one person as the Seeker, you can move on to the next round. Only one hider has to be eliminated for you to move on. You can kill more though if you'd like. Whether you do or don't is completely up to you. Personally though, if it was me, I would say don't, just because Glass Bridge is coming up soon and it's better to have more players alive for that because it's easier to get through with more players. Congratulations if you made it past the 4th round. Both Tug of War and Hide and Seek are in my opinion the hardest of all the rounds in Ink Game. Once you get past these, everything else shouldn't be too difficult. Now to Jump Rope, which if you pass the previous game shouldn't be hard at all since it's about 20 times easier than both the previous games. You do get the option to carry people in this game, but unless you're specifically close with anyone in particular, I'd recommend just avoiding this feature altogether. Now as for actually jumping over the jump rope, it shouldn't be too difficult. You jump quite high and the rope moves very fast, so it's quite difficult to actually end up being hit by the rope. But you basically want to jump any time when the rope's gone past the halfway point between the top and the bottom. So once it's gone past that 90-degree point, that's when you want to try and hit the jump button. Once you jump over the rope, you have to balance yourself, which is a feature that has been nerfed so significantly much since it first came out a couple of months ago. Basically, it will just tell you either press A or press D, or, well, it'll be different depending on which device you're on, of course, and just do whatever it says. If it tells you to press A like 2 or 3 times, and then you're all good. It's really not difficult. People overcomplicate it a lot, but it's very easy, trust me. The only other complication is that there is a gap in the bridge that you have to jump over. I usually tend to try and jump over the gap at the same time that I'm jumping over the rope, so I get them both done at once, so I don't have to try and do one and then immediately do the other one. But it's just whatever makes you feel comfortable. It's really not that difficult, especially since if you do fall, there's a feature to just climb back up. So I do think this is one of the hardest games to actually end up losing on. Now we have Glass Bridge, which is in my opinion the worst of all the games in Ink Games. Well, it's my personal least favourite, at least. I'm actually saving up to get the Glassmaker Vision at the moment, so once I can afford that, I will definitely be buying it. I think this game punishes people for actually stepping up and going first, which I don't think is fair at all. If you decide to actually take one for the team and do a 50-50 guess, you're very likely to die, whereas everyone else will just move on even though they didn't have to do anything. Due to this though, my main advice is going to be don't be a hero. I can promise you, you're on a timer, not everyone's going to just wait there to die. People might wait for quite a while, but as the timer goes down, someone will step up and just go. So just don't be the first person. Either you all die there, or someone will have to go and just take the risk, if that makes sense. If it gets down to the last 10 seconds, then just go yourself. Obviously, it's worth taking the risk rather than just dying there for nothing. But as long as you've got time left, just wait for someone else to go. I know it's not the noble thing to do, but it will help. There are also certain ways to tell the glass apart. For example, some of the glass fog up. If a glass gets foggy, that means it will break if you stand on it. So if you wait and a glass starts to fog up, then avoid that glass panel. Do not jump onto it. The only other thing is going to be if there are a small amount of players, which 90% of the time there will be, because a lot of players don't make it to this point of the game, then not all the glasses will break. So if you are doing the whole 50-50, you know, like you're just going to step up and take one for the team and have a guess, then not all the glass is going to break, given that there are less players. So it's not like it's impossible for you to make it, if that makes sense. So you've completed all the mandatory games. Now it's time to vote whether you'd like to keep playing or if you'd like to rebel. I would personally say if it's anything less than 10 players, don't even think of rebelling. Unless you're just like some gaming god champion, you're very unlikely to win against like the 500 guards with just like 5 people. With the right amount of people though, winning really isn't that difficult. You get unlimited ammo and friendly fire is off. So you can basically just spam even if you're not that good at actually aiming. Every time you see a guard, literally just spam them. Unless there's a bunch, and obviously make sure you do save your ammo because it takes a bit of time to reload and you don't want to be reloading while there's like 7 guards coming at you. But if it's just you and there's like a guard a bit away, then just shoot them till they're dead. You can also shoot guards from quite a while away, actually. You don't need to be really close up. You can see here, I'm shooting a guard from like a very, very long way away, and the guard doesn't even know I'm here, right? Like, I'm shooting him, and there's basically no risk of him ever shooting me back. Try and stay away from the other players the best you can. A lot of players do tend to push in this, and if you get pushed into a guard, you are dead. Remember, the money gets split between everyone that wins the rebellion, so a lot of players don't like actually sharing the money. That's why everyone seems to sabotage each other more in this than they tend to do in the actual Squid Games. As you get towards the end, there are quite a few guards all hiding around all the corners. In order to get them, you literally just want to poke your head around, spam your gun, and then hide again. Don't worry if you don't get them all. Similar to Dalgona, you have way more than enough time to actually do this. A lot of people try and rush to get the rebellion done quickly. You don't need to do that. Take your time. If you don't kill all the guards, that's fine. Wait 5 seconds, reload your gun, and then just try again. As long as you have enough players that are all actually taking part. A thing that really annoys me in this is a lot of the time you'll have players that will just stand at the back and do literally nothing. But as long as everyone's helping, you guys should be all good to get to the end, and then you get your free power roll. So congratulations, you have officially escaped Ink Games, although that's only one of the 3 endings. Remember, we voted to rebel. What would happen if we voted to keep playing though? So you chose to continue playing, and now you're faced with Mingle, which ever since Sky Squid Game came out is actually incredibly easy. The game tends to want people to survive so they can get enough people to play the next round, Sky Squid Game. So they actually don't end up killing off many players in Mingle at all. You have to get into a room with however many players the game tells you to. A lot of the time though, the number ends up being 1, which means you just get in a room by yourself. You're the only one in the room, which means you don't actually have to find anyone. The only real risk in this is the other players. A lot of the time people try and sneak into a room with you and then choke you, but as long as you stay away from everyone else, you should be all good. If the number is anything other than 1 though, for example, it happens to be 3 or 5 quite a lot, just go with a majority. If there ends up being more than 5 of you or more than 3 of you, that's okay. Someone will choke someone else. Just make sure you're with more people rather than less. It's easier to get rid of people than it is to add people. This is probably the game where alliances are at their most useful at this point. If you're quite a popular person, maybe you led everyone in Glass Bridge or you carried people in Jump Rope, you're more likely to get into a room with people that trust you rather than being betrayed. This is it. You've made it to the final round, either Squid Game or Sky Squid Game. Which one you end up playing is dependent on how many players there are left. If there's a lot of players, you're going to end up playing Sky Squid Game. If not, you'll play regular Squid Game. On occasions, before actual Squid Game, you'll have to just do a pre-fight to the death to get down to the last 2 players. Similar to Lights Out, if you can, just avoid the fight. The other 2 players will end up fighting and you can just get out unharmed. In this situation, though, you have been picked to do Sky Squid Game. Now, there are 3 rounds to Sky Squid Game, and I'm going to talk you through how to survive each round. You start off with lots of players on a big square platform. Your only goal is to knock 1 player off. You don't even have to be the one to do it. Just between all the players, 1 person has to fall off the platform. I know this is a strategy that I've repeated lots and lots of times throughout this video, but your biggest bet for survival is do nothing. Just run away. You don't have to be the person that knocks someone off. The moment you hit anyone, they are instantly going to hit you back. Unless someone actually goes for you, literally don't fight. Just jump around, avoid getting hit, and just survive the whole round by doing nothing. I'm aware of how risky that sounds, but trust me, it is genuinely your best bet for survival. As long as you don't hit anyone, unless you've like made an arch nemesis or something, no one's going to come after you specifically. Just run around a bit, make sure you're hard to hit, and then no one's going to really go for you. Congratulations, you've made it onto Triangle. Now, for this round, I'm actually going to say you're going to have to do the complete opposite. You can't really run around. You can try, but due to the fact that the triangle isn't very big, you're not going to have much room to actually maneuver on. You're going to want to try and get the first hits on people. However, I don't want you to be the first person to actually hit the attack button. What I mean by that is every time you attack, there's a cooldown before you can attack again. You want your opponent to attack. Obviously, you want them to miss, but as soon as they attack, that's when you strike. You want to be the first one to hit, but you don't want to be the first one to hit the attack button, if that makes sense. So you wait for someone to hit. Even if they're not going to hit you, you wait for someone to hit someone, and the moment they do that, you hit them. Hopefully, you knock them off the end. If not, you take down some of their health. Either way, you're going to be okay. As your health decreases in this game, your knockback actually becomes stronger. So one strategy, and I'm aware this is very, very risky, but if you think you are very actually good at fighting in this game, one strategy you can try is actually letting yourself get down to low HP, and then once you're low, hit your opponent and you're guaranteed to knock them off. Only do this if you know you have good control with fighting in this game, otherwise it's very risky. You can see here, I literally just managed to knock everyone off on Triangle and the game ended here. Well done, I've won, you know, won the Squid Game, but that's not always going to happen. So I'm going to show you another example of when you can't just win on Triangle, how you can get through all 3 rounds. Here you can see I loaded into another match, and this time we got to Triangle and there were 3 people left, including me. You might be wondering, why am I not going for that one guy over there? I mean, he's really low HP, he'd be really easy to just finish off. The reason for that is you have to kill at least 1 player per round, we'd already killed someone that round, so it'd be easier to wait for the next round and then I could finish him off then. So we got down to the final round and only one person had to be eliminated. It was quite clear that one of us was at a big disadvantage compared to the other two. Similar to Player 100's lunchbox method from episode 5 of the last season of Squid Game, we're going to be going for that guy. Once that guy was eliminated, I could have gone for the other person, but throughout the whole game, I'd kind of been keeping an eye on him, and I could tell that he was at a similar skill level to me, and I think he could see that as well. So even though me and him had never interacted until this point, we both kind of mutually agreed that it's not worth fighting. You know, it was basically 50-50 who was going to win that fight. It'd be safer for both of us if we just wait it out. Now, what I did here was actually very risky. Since I don't know this person, letting him live alongside me meant he could have betrayed me at any point by literally just running up and knocking me. That's why I never took my eyes off the screen. I was waiting there for like over a minute, and I had my hands on my keyboard and my mouse, prepared to make a move if he came for me. But luckily, this guy was actually trustworthy, and we both took home the cash. Plus, since it was a large server, we got way more than the usual amount of cash, so it was definitely worth it. So there you go, that's how to win Sky Squid Game. A couple of other things to note is there is a poll in the middle. It does give you an advantage, but I actually don't think it helps. Because of that advantage, it makes you a major target. The moment you get the poll, everyone goes for you. So if there's anything more than 3 players left, just avoid the pole. Whoever picks it up will get targeted by the other people. If there's 3 or less though, I think going for the pole is a good move. The only other thing is make sure you press the button before each round. It'd kind of suck if you killed someone but you haven't pressed the button, but usually someone else will press the button anyway, so it's not a big deal. Well done, we've done the second of the 3 endings. Now the only one left to cover is Squid Game itself. This is my personal favourite of the 3 endings. It's pretty challenging, but it's also really fun. So if you do end up losing, it doesn't feel like you wasted your time, because just getting to play in it at all is fun, in my opinion. This is, of course, literally just a fight to the death. We're going to be using a lot of the same techniques that we used in the second round of Sky Squid Game. Unlike that, though, you can't knock someone off the end. You can knock them out of the arena, which will damage them, but it's not just like Sky Squid Game, where if someone falls off, they're dead. You do actually have to kill them yourself in this. So you're going to want to try and do the defensive method that I talked about before, where you don't hit until someone else hits. Obviously, if someone's really bad at the game, or if they're in a really easy to hit position, go for them. But in general, it's a lot easier if you wait for them to hit, hopefully they'll miss, and then you hit while they're waiting for their hit button to reload. You're going to keep this up for the entire match, no matter how low your HP gets. Try and jump around a lot to make it harder for the other player to actually hit you. One technique I like to do is I always position myself towards the end of the map, so when someone tries to hit me, I can kind of go around and hit them instead, and it will hopefully knock them into the bit that you're not allowed to go into, which will deal extra damage. It's also good to know that there are 2 sort of main different types of attacks you can do, either a normal attack or sort of like a launching attack where you run forward and attack. It's good to know this for both you and the other player. In general, it's better to utilize the launching attack because it means you can attack from a further distance, and also your opponent won't see you coming if you're like a bit away from them before you attack. But it's very important to always have an eye on the opponent no matter what's going on, because if they decide to launch attack you, you'll see them sort of running up before they do it. The moment you see them running, even if you don't think they're going to attack, just run in the opposite direction, because that small chance that they will attack, it's good to be prepared. And that's really all there is to it. There isn't like different rounds like there is with Sky Squid Game where you have to have different tactics as it goes on. Just make sure to stay calm, and even if you get low HP, you haven't lost until you're actually dead. So don't panic and just don't give up. And there we have it. We've officially been through all endings you could possibly get and every game you could end up playing in Ink Game. I really hope this video has helped you. Comment down below if you want me to make any other Ink Game content, and if you want me to make anything in general, just let me know and I'll get right to it. Hey everyone, thanks for watching this far into the video. If you enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. You don't have to, but it really does help. Hope you have a good day, and I'll see you next time.